Hi everyone, Angela here. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be sewing a French seam with an open split at the bottom. Now if you don't know what a French seam is or you haven't sewn one before, please watch my video called Easy French Seams first. Now before we sew the sides with the French seam, our bottom edges should be hemmed already like I've done here. This will show us that this is the wrong side of the fabric. Now because I'm using a solid color, I'm going to mark the wrong sides with a bit of chalk. Now put your wrong sides together, matching your side edges and your bottom hem perfectly. I'll be doing this with a 5/8 of an inch or 1.5 centimeter seam allowance because that's what most commercial patterns have, but you can definitely do it with a smaller or larger French seam. Now I'm going to mark up where I'd like my split to end. You can make your split any length you like. Now I also need to mark in from the edge the seam allowance. So here it's 5/8 of an inch or 1.5 centimeters. Now this corner is the most important mark. Now the first row of stitching we're going to do is going to be 1/4 of an inch or 6 millimeters in from the edge, stitching straight down, and we're going to stop just 1/4 of an inch above that chalk line. So back tack first, stitch straight down, stop above that line, needle in, lift your foot and pivot. Now aim your needle straight to that corner. We're going to stitch right to that very corner, needle in, and then back tack a couple of stitches, come forward again, and back tack again. So we've made that corner nice and strong. Okay, and just clean your threads. Next, grab your sharp scissors and we're going to cut straight through that chalk line right to that very corner, but don't cut that stitch. Now we just need to trim off a bit of that fabric from that corner that we've sewn. So cut on a diagonal and don't cut too close to that corner stitch. Now we'll just open up the fabric and push that corner towards the wrong side of the fabric. Now also flip over the seam allowances to the wrong side. Now because we cut right to that very corner, it should flip over without any bunching at that corner. We also need to just finger press open the seam that we've just sewn, or you can take it across to your iron and give it a light press. Now fold that seam so that you're pressing it right in the middle. Now I'm going to just push that corner out a little bit more. And now we're looking at the wrong side facing us. Now we've already stitched 1/4 of an inch and we have a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So that means we have another 3/8 of an inch to stitch, or 9 millimeters. So we're going to stitch straight down through that corner and down past it about another 1/4 inch below. So start at the top, back tack, stitch straight down through that corner and 1/4 inch below it, and back tack twice. Now the reason we sew below it is so that all the stress won't be right on that corner. Next, open up the fabric so that the wrong sides are facing us, and open up the bottom seams 5/8 of an inch on each side, and just finger press them to make a crease. Now we don't want to just sew around raw edges, so we need to finish up the top and sides of this split. Open up the seam allowance again and just match that top edge to the crease that we just made. We now also have a 45-degree angle fold that we can crease. Now place the raw edge along the long crease. We're basically folding the seam allowance in half. Okay, fold it along the crease again. And we've got that nice angled fold at the top. Just hold it in place with some pins. Now, the more you do these French seams with the splits, you won't even need to use pins at all. Now we have to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so fold down to create that 45-degree angle. And now fold your seam allowance in half and fold again on the crease. Now let's turn it around and we're going to start stitching from the bottom hem. Now when you're sewing small folds like this, it's a good idea to start with your needle in the fabric. Hold on to your top and bottom threads before you start stitching, and this will help prevent any tension problems. Now we're going to edge stitch along the fold till you get to that first corner. If you're worried about hitting that corner perfectly, just stop a little bit before and hand wheel it so that your needle gets right into that corner. Now pivot, and we're going to stitch to that very center of the seam there. Okay, needle down in the center, pivot again, and do the other side exactly the same way along the edge. Take your pins out and edge stitch along the fold. When you get to the bottom, back tack well. And always clean your threads as you sew. It's a good habit to get into. So here we have our finished French seam with the open split at the bottom. Now it looks really nice and neat, and you can leave it as is, but if you want to make it even stronger at the top of that seam, you can stitch a line across the top, just back tack at each corner. So once you're done, just give the seam a light press and make sure to give yourself a pat on the back because you're going to be so proud of yourself. So thanks again for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and share, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Until next time, happy sewing!